actually is what is wrong with America. The Democrats are the ones, they are the party that cares about the people.
The 47th president of the United States.
It's the biggest red wave I've seen since Ronald Reagan's 49-state victory.
There were appeals to racism in this campaign, and there is racial bias in this country, and there is sexism in this country.
Trump, once again elected to the White House, leaders around the world congratulating him on his historic comeback. But there is one leader who apparently has no plans to congratulate him, Russia's Vladimir Putin, according to the Kremlin.
When asked the question about why hasn't Vladimir Putin congratulated President-elect Donald Trump, he said, let's not forget that we're talking about an unfriendly country that is both directly and indirectly involved in a war against our state.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
And here we are, day 30 of the Schumer shutdown, and things are not moving. In fact, I'm not the only one to call that out. We have somebody who is very much involved in politics, although maybe not a politician himself, that calls that out here in just a moment. We have so many clips and so many things to talk about, and it's wild. The show might be 90 minutes long, could be 2 hours long, could be longer than that. I'm planning on 2 hours, but we might come up short because I could only find, about 2,000 clips. I just didn't have time to edit them all. And with that, I want to say thanks to Release the McCracken for becoming a rewards member. And to those of you who were already so very generous right off the bat with Mark Fields, super chat of $2 or $1.99, saying positive vibes. See you all. Have a beautiful day. Indeed. Hang on a moment. I've only been talking for about 6 hours today. So, maybe 7. So I'm going to be drinking a ton of water here. I came prepared. And you might see the magic disappearing glass on screen every once in a while. But we're going to keep the pipes moist so you can enjoy my dulcet tones, which I've been told will put people to sleep. And I'm thinking, that must be my gift. Anyway, thank you, Mark Fields, for your super duper chat and a very thoughtful 5 Culture Casino memberships here. Very generous from Ruby Hoof. Thank you very much as we chase the goal of getting back to 1,000 members for the channel and 50,000 subscribers. So if you share the stream, share the dream. If you have social media and choose to share this out there, I would appreciate it. All right, let's see if we can get the mic closer so I don't have to talk so much or so loud. But Mark, thanks for being here. Dr. Jones is in the house, and so is Jackie Delaney. And of course, our friend from Australia, which he says this is about 15 cents. Hemorrhoid Hurt says, good morning, CC, friends, and chat. Indeed. And I get an hola from Brian Parker. Hola, my friend. Look at all these wonderful folks in the house. Keep It Real Original is here. So is Popsicle. Look at this. And it's the mom. Hi, Cece. What's up, the mom? We've got DJ Ronnie G out there. It's good to see you, my friend. I hope everything's going well. And William Schweikert is out there as well. Like you said, thank you to Release the McCracken Robbie coming through with a new membership. Much appreciated. And we've got Angela Richter in the house with her famous tiger. I love that. Who else is out there in the world? Let's see. Jeff is. Good to see you, Jeff. And I think the lovely Penny. Guys, when do you think YouTube will go back to letting you use your screen names? I got to ask that question. I think it would be better for everyone, including me. So, and a big shout out and thank you to Angela Richter for a Culture Casino membership. Thank you, Angela. Mark Maxwell's in the house. He just received that gift membership. And Snort is here, our favorite polar bear. Snortopupus Q Burr. All right, guys, we've got Generic Burnett in the house. Good to see you, dear. And look at all these people, like the beautiful weatherman on the green machine. So we've got two people on the green machine, which is always an alternative, folks and friends, especially since we don't really know what YouTube's going to do when they go to AI operation mode. That's going to be dangerous. And they are pretty soon. Barry the Music Man, great to see you, my friend. Zen Wookie, what is up? Look at all these lovely humans. And of course, more generosity from Wild Man of Yavin. Cheers, CC. Hope your throat feels better. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. The thing is by the time we get to this time of the week, Thursday, and I've already done somewhere over 30 hours of talking. So, it's by the time I get to the end of the work week that I maintain on YouTube, I'd say I put in over 40 hours of voice work, probably more. You just take a look at my my schedule; it will blow your mind. But I love doing what I do, and thank you for the appreciation in the form of 10, or excuse me, what is that? 1337. What is this? Am I not seeing numbers well? I think probably not. 1337. Okay, fair enough. I guess that's YouTube tax. I don't know. Very weird. But Orlando is here. Orlando Zabo is in the house. Good to see you, dear. Made it on time. Hail to all the beautiful people. The beautiful people. The beautiful people. By the way, Deeple was here this morning for the 6 Minute Daily. And I'm glad you're all here today. I truly am. We've got our most consistent human being on the planet, Graph Web, saying, for Frank's sake, I haven't seen Frank yet, but for his sake, hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Look, you can live by this hashtag every day and start it trending as much as you want. I think a lot of people will follow because it's good stuff. What else is happening? Oh, E. Clake Thomason is in the house. Culture is drinking Irish water. Don't tell anybody. True story. It's an Irish Spring. Remember those commercials? I do. They were good. Hey, Ruby Hoove gifted another $2 in Culture Cash saying Shiba Dog. Oh, it's a super sticker. Okay. Shiba Dog shaking his body from left to right, surrounded by hearts. I usually just say farting hearts because that's kind of what it looks like, but I could be wrong. Spirian's in the house. The big man is here. And I'm curious if we're going to get a few other giant humans that I know of out there. Look at all these amazing people. The beautiful people, the beautiful people. So true. Juliet, thank you for being out there working so hard. And Pam, I hope you're doing well. Prince Andrew just been stripped. He should have been a long time ago. I thought he was self-sacrificing his titles, but if he was stripped of all of his everything and privileges, that would be very interesting. But he's not a good man. I think we could all agree. Well, he wasn't the only one. A lot of people just haven't gotten their comeuppance yet. I think the world would be better off if people saw that people who do bad things get punished, especially if they're elevated in their stature. And I would have to agree with that wholeheartedly. Davina's in the house. Good to see you, dear. And Larry, the name's so nice. You say it twice. Larry, who says penny. That's funny. All right. I got to stop. The Mom for $1.99. The 199 from the Mom says, remember, you need a chug or a hug in your greenhouse. Indeed. That's just the weirdest dogs ever. By the way, Bear security forces in the greenhouse are going to be taking somebody to task pretty soon. So watch Pro TV, guys, and I think you'll see. It's going to get pretty wild in there. Angela Richter goes, "Is culture going blind? Stop doing that. I'm trying to see." Oh, it's elite chat. Well, you are elite, my friend. You are elite. Thank you for being here and being so supportive. Honey in your water. Yeah, I couldn't. I'm going to have to go like searching through the cabinets. I have like a lot of like somewhat fresh honey that I put up. I just don't remember which cabinet it's in. So it's all right. I've had worse, believe it or not, when I was on stage and had to perform and sing and all of that. I've had worse. I've had much, much worse. Could be much, much worse. Pilgrim Media, how's it going, my friends? Says grocery stores on high alert for the party Saturday. Yeah, I know. And I think that I'm going to solicit my local police department to have preventative teams out in front of the groceries in my area because I think it's going to be a ballroom blitz in some Walmarts, especially. Keely Chow is here. What's up, brother? Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Culture is such a boomer. Leet is code for elite. Yes, I know. Didn't you just hear me a minute ago? I'm getting there, kids. Leet money. I had leet money. Hey, Captain JP in the house. What's going on? Says, I got Ha Disney Plus with my cable. Who dis? Who dis plus? Actually, it's probably who dis minus. New phone, who dis? Pete O'Shea, what's up, brother? Says, I don't mean to be harsh, but the world is broke. That's so true. There is no reality where a class of people will be allowed to be streamers and not perform physical work in the future. Okay. YouTube may as well be Disney. Okay. I think I'm doing physical work right now. But I'm a retired guy. So there's that. Holy cow. It's Daryl the Derelict. Howdy do, culture. How's it going, my friend? And we've got MS. Hello, culture mate. Hello. I'm really frustrated with the @ symbols because you guys have screen names, and I know you all by your screen names. So if I could say this out loud to all of you, I hate this @ bologna sausage that YouTube's doing. Okay? It's garbage tasticness. Pilgrim Media again for another $2 says, I caught a rat in the garden. The cat stole the trap. Oh, bummer. Well, at least she got a rat. Yeah, it's tough this time of year. You got to really fight off the rodents. Rodentia. Hey, there's Deeple again. What's up, Deeple? And Channel Surf's in the house. Good to see you. Hope you and the wife are well. She's a lovely lady. You're a nice fella. Weatherman's boycotting YouTube until that @ stops. Me too. All right, let's get to work. Let's start with the first bit of news I wanted to talk about because this guy's brother used to run a state. Not well. In fact, he probably is responsible for the deaths of many old people in retirement homes. But overall, when it comes to this particular situation, he's not wrong. Let's talk about the Cuomo in the room and the fact that even he is calling out the shutdown for what it is and who's doing it. Here we go. It's not playing. This is supposed to play. It's not playing. Oh,
Don't believe the hype about ending the shutdown for people on food stamps. First of all, what happened in the military? What happened to air traffic controllers? You know what happened, right? They're playing a game. Senator Schumer is now moving the goalposts, right? What's more sympathetic? Air traffic controllers are pretty sympathetic. Well, what's more sympathetic than they? Members of the military who protect our freedoms on food kitchen lines. Okay, what's more sympathetic than them? Poor kids who can't eat. Oh, okay, let's move the goalposts to that. We want a standalone bill only for food stamps. And the other ones can just go fuck themselves. You see, this is the game. Schumer's not wrong. They should be funding those things. But he's the one who shut down the government. Yes, Republicans are in control of all three houses. But we are in a shutdown right now because of what Democrats did in the Senate by using the filibuster where they got to get 60 votes to keep the continuing resolution from being passed. Look, the only fix, the real one, is to reopen the government. Now, here's the problem. Nobody ever ends a shutdown by getting what they want. It's never happened. Why? Because both sides know if you give them what they want, you're just going to keep having shutdowns. So what's the fix? What's the midterm winning move? Vote for me. I will fight for a bill and make a law that says no more shutdowns. And you create a period during which, yes, there's a constitutional demand that they pay Congress no matter what. They're not part of discretionary spending. But they can have their own House rules. And they should pay for every delay past a certain point where they don't pass a budget. If they have to use a CR instead of passing a budget, that's another fine. They are playing a game. If they wanted to pay and get people paid and take care of people, they wouldn't have shut down the government.
and he's right. And I hate to say that because it's a Cuomo, but he's right. I think you guys agree that that's kind of the right take there. And look, it's 30 days in. People are going to start really suffering soon. And there's no way for the Democrats to get out of this and not lose face, because this will be all for naught if they don't get something from it. And believe me, I'm going to be one of the people pointing that out, at least once every show. This was for nothing. Nobody benefited and everybody lost. That's a problem. That's a real problem. Wow. I mean, the countdown's 30 days in. Tomorrow is Halloween. On Saturday, SNAP benefits aren't going to be out. We've got SNAP benefits coming up later in the show, guys, but SNAP benefits won't be there at all. And that's going to be rough for some people. I think some people are going to start being frustrated with SNAP because you're going to find out exactly how much money go to people who aren't making an effort, in my opinion. A household of 8 gets $3,000 in EBT. That's crazy. I guess just keep having kids to have food. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But Fallen Angel is right. It's very annoying that someone with the best answers is coming from Chris Cuomo. I know. But look, the corruption in government is all over the place. And a lot of the clips I'm going to share with you today really do point that out. In fact, I was surprised to learn that the Democrat governor of Massachusetts has their top aide arrested for drug trafficking using government buildings as stash houses. This isn't made up. It's real. So when you take a look at this is an example of government, at least in Massachusetts, and the people that work in government. A drug trafficker, right? It doesn't get better. I mean, you can call Mara Healy. Her number's out there in the world. Talk to her about this, why this is happening, why she's, pushing stuff like this through government as part of government. I mean, it's let's see, what's the way I often say it? It's no bueno. Here, let's look at this from the alerts, folks. There he is. This is Deputy Director of Governor Mara Healy in Massachusetts office in Springfield, arrested for 9 kilos of cocaine. They were shipped to him at his Springfield office. So drugs delivered. It's wild stuff. It's absolutely wild stuff. This is the fella right here. Nice suit, though. Nice suit. Yeah. So that's about somebody here like Let's Go Be Flow says that was about 20 pounds of coke. That's a lot. It's a lot of drugs. I mean, not a far drive to the White House, maybe. This guy's probably helping out Hunter. I don't know. I just know this is not a part of government that I want to maintain. And that's why the less government, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But we've got a bigger problem, like I said. It's the shutdown. And trying to get, to that particular story because it's a big one. Wild Manny Yavin just joined us as a member again. Thank you, Wild Manny Yavin. Much appreciated. Thank goodness Spirian got his SSDI this morning. I hope you're very well, sir. Worry about you. But like we're in trouble. Wild Manny Yavin says, yeah, they interviewed this pregnant lady who had 5 kids, who was worried about SNAP going away and was going to the food bank. Well, good. I mean, you don't want the kids to go starving. She's a bit heavier than the average person. Yeah, I can't imagine eating $3,000 worth of food. But again, I don't have 8 people in my household. Like, I might spend a couple $100 a week, maybe at most. So, and again, another reason to have a garden / greenhouse or similar, or more than that. Your own self-sufficient habitat's not a bad idea. Whoa, hang on. Moondog, Mange says, LRT cut the military. Talk about waste of millions of dollars. I'm unfamiliar with the reference, but I really would like the military to get their money. I like the people involved with the military. And again, there's like 4 million people that work for the government as contractors. So those people aren't getting paid properly. And I'm not just talking about military contractors. I'm talking about generally the contractors. Working Wolvie says, I moved out of Massachusetts years ago. That communist state is so lost. Well, apparently they can find their way to manage some Colombian marching powder, but that's a whole different conversation. Look, I'm not scarred to talk about like what's going on in the government and how corrupt it is and everything else. But what I'm frustrated about, and again, I'm sorry the clips are low because that's the volume of what comes off of X. And oftentimes I have to artificially elevate the audio levels, but we're not done. We're not done. We have a series of clips all about the government shutdown. And the strategy of the Democrats right now isn't working. Blame the other guy isn't working. I think most people are too well informed now because of X and other social media platforms or YouTube or places where you can go and get actual news like here. And the facts matter, which is one of the things I talk about on this channel. Facts and accurate information matters. And then when you get additional facts or an update to the story, you may have to change your position because you, well, were informed with additional information. It's why the first reaction often isn't the most accurate, but we have 30 days of non-reaction from Congress right now. It's absolutely disgusting. And still, you got Chuck Schumer out there lying to everybody. And Hakeem Jeffries, the two caballeros, the Commie Caballeros. Here's Schumer. Here's a little bit of Schumer for you. The tantrums aren't feeding kids. The lies aren't funding SNAP. But the panic is hard to hide. This from Lindell TV.
Irrespective of the dispute on whether USDA contingency funds can be used for SNAP benefits.
It is not, wait a minute, excuse me. It is not a dispute. It is fact they can use it, and the Republicans say it.
Okay, but there's, only 5 or 6 billion, and it's not cost $8 billion monthly just to administer. I mean, if anything, it would only last.
It does not cost 5 or 6 billion to administer. There's enough money to start feeding people right away. 6 billion's a lot of money, and they're using it for other things. 20 billion for Argentina, hundreds of millions for Kristi Noem's plane. Who are we kidding here?
Okay, that's a blatant lie. The money didn't go to Argentina that was going to fund SNAP. This guy is the biggest liar I've ever seen. And the only reason he's been throwing this temper tantrum and not funding the government is because they lost an election. And they're going to lose their pet program that helps, feed and house illegals and give them free medical care. That's the big, beautiful bill. And they didn't have any choice. It went through. They had no control. And I'm glad. These people have the worst ideas and the worst ways to implement them. But this guy, he's a lying machine. And of course, everybody says, hey, culture, if a politician's talking, he's lying. If his gums are flapping, he's telling you a lie. Accepted, right? For the most part. But this is one of the least principled people I've ever seen lead anything.
The bottom line is they can fund it just as in 2019, just as in other shutdowns for a long period of time.
And they also, it's the contingency fund, which is $6 billion, which gets you nearly a month, 3 weeks.
See, she's already kind of correcting what Schumer lied about, which is it wouldn't last a month, right? And that contingency money needs to be there for contingencies. Like if we get another month deep into this, maybe they'll tap into that for SNAP. Don't know. But funding some of these SNAP benefits is not good for America, considering that some of this money, whether or not they want to be honest about it or not, is going to people who are not here legally and all of the people in that household. That's insanity to me.
Runs out, then they can pass Senator Lujan or Senator Hawley's bill, both of which we support. We know that there'll be 60 votes for that.
Yeah. So she's talking about a bill that is nothing but a crutch for them to lean on that just takes care of SNAP. Because they know that what they've done by shutting down the government is essentially make people suffer. And remember, the talking point, we were talking about it on Tuesday, was that we want the people to suffer. That way we get our way. You're not going to hold us ransom or hostage for $1.5 trillion. As Pinochet's helicopter tourist talks about it, we can't afford to go deeper in debt In fact, I would prefer if we actually had to, or that we made the government and forced the government to have a balanced budget. I think that's the only way to move forward. I'm sure most of you remember what the promises were from the original Tea Party, and would have liked for those to be fulfilled. We've got this is amazing. We've got late night rabbit. What's going on? Says Chuck Schumer's lies are as funny as his niece Amy. Yeah, probably. Yeah. That, by the way, if you didn't know, Amy Schumer, the terrible actress and apparently one-time intimate partner of John Cena in the movie Trainwreck, they actually put the scene on the screen where they actually, for lack of a better way to describe it, bumped uglies. Anyway, Amy Schumer is not funny, and Chuck Schumer isn't honest. So there you are. So
Why aren't they calling it up?
This cheek is
They're not calling it up
because
the House isn't here to pass it. That's the way it works. The House would have to come here.
And the House has no interest.
Kids go hungry.
They're not choosing it. You're choosing it. You could solve it.
They have been out for 6 weeks on vacation.
Just think.
That's a lie. Okay. All right. This is why I get so frustrated with the Democrats. The Republicans didn't go on vacation. The Republicans have been bringing this up for a vote regularly, multiple times a week. And, let me put the rebuttal up here, because honestly, it is too ridiculous to believe. Shoot, where did that go? Let's get this on the screen. Here we go. This is the speaker who made a nice little chart. A nice little chart here for us. Follow the bouncing ball, folks. How do I get it to play?
Democrats are still out trying to convince you that this is somehow Republicans' fault. But the facts are the facts, and the American people can see that very clearly. They see the truth. We brought you a handy scorecard here so you can, follow the votes. I mean, this is very simple. The votes to pay the troops and federal workers and continue SNAP benefits and get air traffic controllers and Border Patrol agents paid. This is the vote tally. You see the dates here. The House did our work back on September 19th, and Republicans voted yes. Democrats voted no on all those things. And the Senate has now done it an additional 13 times. These are the votes. No one can say that this is in any way the fault of Republicans. We have a clean, simple bill, and everybody knows it. House and Senate Democrats are openly admitting that this is their shutdown. You have seen the highlight reel of all of them stumbling into admitting that. And yet they're also incoherently claiming that the shutdown is somehow on the fault of the other party. And the people aren't buying it. And that's why the polling continues to show that the approval of Republicans in Congress is rising with each passing day. And the Democrats, at the same time, Democrats in Congress have the lowest approval rating they have ever had since polling began, since recorded polling began.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you saw those green dots every single date starting September 19th. You can't say no 13 or 14 times and say that you want to stop the shutdown. Thank you very much, Midnight Rabbit. Look, I mean, let's just be honest about the situation we're in. It is a poker match, as Pinochet's helicopter tour is saying, but right now the strategy of the GOP is paying off across the board, whether or not people want to acknowledge it or not. Nerds love charts and graphs. I do. I love that to pieces. I think we need more charts. We need more graphs. But I'm weird. I mean, let's acknowledge that. I'm very strange. Man, I just can't believe how many clips I've pulled down today to talk about, the disingenuousness of it all, right? Like, let's take a look at this this particular element here. Oh wow, I don't know what's happening here. Okay, I didn't want that clip. Of course, I'm getting the wrong clips now, but Hakeem Jeffries has a problem with reality and honesty and telling the truth. And it's so egregious, it's so bad that what I would call a communist that works for the Communist News Network, Caitlin, she goes at him for his misrepresentations. So let's take a look at that. There's Hakeem, there's Caitlin, and let's not put a bow on it. There we go.
That Mike Johnson's not willing to sit down and have a conversation. Y'all did have a phone conversation, I believe you said earlier today. Who initiated that call? Was that you or was that Speaker Johnson?
It was a call from Mike Johnson. It was very brief, and it wasn't a substantive discussion in terms of finding a path forward.
But was he calling to talk about the government shutdown?
I mean, you could say that was in the ballpark, but, it was a private conversation that will remain private. However, nothing meaningful came out of it, again, because Donald Trump has not given Mike Johnson permission to enter into a bipartisan negotiation. Caitlin, I mean, House Republicans have been literally on vacation for the last 5 weeks. They've canceled votes 5 consecutive weeks in a row. They are uninterested in doing anything other than jamming their partisan Republican spending bill down the throats of the American people. And as Democrats, we've made clear we will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Period. Full stop.
Okay, and here's the problem with that, as I realize I need to refresh, so I'll be gone for a second. But just ponder this for a moment while I temporarily disappear. Hakeem's also lying, but maybe the GOP should have held a vote every single day in the Senate. They wouldn't have changed anything. They would have just voted no more times. And the continuing CR, the clean continuing CR with no extra bologna sausage, was something that had been passed 13 times previously. And it, as a matter of fact, mirrors Schumer's CR that kept the government going since the Biden times, when we entered the dark era. All right, I'm going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. Again, I'm back. So yeah, this is kind of where we are. Let's be honest about it. It doesn't matter what people say. And this is the other problem. Congress is getting paid. Pinochet's right there. And look, Cuomo was the one who said it during that little thing I played right at the beginning. Like, they should be fined. They should be fined. I don't know why they're not fined. I mean, they're literally killing the economy and, well, a lot of people's future. And I feel like people are smart enough to be picking this all up. And of course, I've got people out there that agree with me in certain terms and not in uncertain terms, which means, they put a limit on, what I support. Pinochet says, hey, CC, thank you for the rant, my friend. Says, hey, CC, I bought a Raspberry Pi 5 for my Jeep. Awesome to have a computer on board for USGS maps ahead of the apocalypse. What flavor of open source OS do you recommend? Man, I don't even know. You know what? Tonight, if you make it to tonight's Thursday night throwdown show over on Comics Division, ask Comics what he would do. Right now, what am I going to use? I mean, right now I'm moving away from Windows on my machines. I'm going to be moving to Mint distribution of Linux, which is basically Ubuntu. But because I need something with a GUI. But as far as an off-grid option, I don't really have one that I could recommend at this point. If once I get a couple other things running, I might be able to do that. But I still have an old-fashioned GPS, to be fair. So I'm kind of okay for that. Angela Richter drops another generosity here for 5 Culture Casino cash, it looks like. And it says they wouldn't know the truth if it gave them money. That's true. So very true. And it's absolutely wild. And our very generous friend, Tony Piacente, is out there gifting 5 Culture Casino memberships. Thank you, Tony. I hope everything's going well. Dr. Michael Jones was gifted one of those, and so were many other of you. So thank you for joining us if you're here. Jin Wong, I hope you're still with us, my friend. It used to do great art for me. Yeah, Deeple is correct. Ask the prepper. Yeah, the prepper is the right guy. Yeah, Mint, because they keeping politic out of their forums so far. Open man driva for not new users. Okay, yeah. And you guys, I mean, they certainly will help, says Jeff. So that's a good thing to know. And Scott Somers is in the house. Good to see you. Yeah, Red Hat is political AF, indeed. Yeah, I think Mint's probably the best. So, all right, let's do let's do some more silliness on people not being honest. This is the other thing that bothers me, right? They can't answer simple questions when they're asked, and they're direct questions. These are not hard. Anybody should be able to answer this, right? Anybody should be able to answer this. This is the one that like melted me down this morning. So I think this is a burn. This person is burn. I feel like I'm getting burned right now. Why is that not showing up? It's not working. Hang on. Oh, it's the wrong one. Da-da-da-da. 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 Elmo's World. Come on, you guys know that. All right, let's jump over here. Okay, this lady is going to lie her face off. Are you ready? Here we go.
They did have a clean CR vote on September 19th in the House. Did you vote for it?
I disagree with your characterization and want to make sure that we're very clear about what Republicans have been doing. Any bill that they've put forth, they've always had some extra stuff to it. There's always been a poison pill to it.
Okay, she just said there've always been extra things in it. A clean CR is a clean CR. There's nothing else in it. There's no shenanigans. There's just continuing the funding for 7 weeks to, get to the actual budget. That was the operation that everybody was trying to get involved in, except for the Democrats. So she just lied. She just said, I don't agree with your characterization of the bill. Everybody can read the bill, and then they can turn around and read your ransom note for $1.5 trillion.
So I disagree with your characterization.
What were the poison pills of the clean CR or the continuing resolution? You say it's not clean, that was voted on in the House in mid-September.
Here's what's important. I think what you're trying to do is shift the responsibility to Democrats.
Here's what's important. Okay. I think you're trying to shift the blame to Democrats. Okay. That's not an answer to her question. I don't like these people. She's lying. Do you notice? She has a tell when she's lying. She steps forward and makes an exaggerated movement. So if you live in Oregon's 5th district, Janelle Bynum's district, you now know how to spot all her lies. Thank you. Thank you for that. Again, politics are messy, but the shutdown's not being resolved. There's nobody's talking about solutions. The solution would be to pass the clean CR and get an actual budget together. But you guys can't stand that you lost when it came to your precious Obamacare that more than doubled my premiums and most other people and made health networks insanely wealthy. When you look into medical billing, you start to find out that Tylenol costs you $600 when you're in the hospital. Why? You know, I think we need to really look at what's going on. George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it. That's right. Angel D-Link says German Shepherd, German Shepherd. Is there something wrong with German Shepherd? I don't know. It's very strange, though. Neff Champion says, wow, the stuff spewing from her mouth. I know. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Deflection, yeah, redirection. And again, this is a practiced media technique. If anybody's had media training, if the context of the question, doesn't favor, your best response, that's what you say. Is say, I disagree with your characterization, and I don't acknowledge your premise is the other one. Believe me. I've said that a few times. I reject your reality and institute my own. And that's what extreme leftists do. And that's the problem, is this party has been overtaken by people who are very disconnected from reality. And I hate to acknowledge that I know some people that are there. And I will say this, Hakeem's brand of politics isn't something that a lot of people enjoy. In fact, I think a lot of people are disgusted by it, including this leader here, who calls it out for what it is, having worked with Jeffries at the state level as well.
Schumer and Jeffries are both weak leaders from New York, and specifically New York City, where they have never had to face serious political opposition and have enjoyed nothing but glowing praise from their friends in the media. They are ill-suited to lead the Democratic Party at the national level, which is on dramatic display with each passing day of this tragic shutdown. They have traded true leadership for appeasement, responsibility for disorder, and principle for political survival. This shutdown is their choice. They've surrendered to radicals funded by dark money groups pushing anti-police, anti-Israel, anti-American garbage. Now the country is paying the price. I served with Hakeem Jeffries in the New York State Legislature. He sat right next to me. I've seen this playbook before, as have my colleagues in New York who also served in the legislature. It is the same corrupt Albany routine. Reward insiders, punish taxpayers, and blame everybody else.
And that's kind of the same playbook we're seeing right now. It just doesn't land right. Pinochet says, I don't plan on using a random McNally highway map for my treks. Right. Yeah, like I said, but I have an old-fashioned GPS. In fact, on the big truck, it's preloaded. I don't have to do anything, but I've got the old everything Garmin up through, I think updated through 2020. So there haven't been a whole lot of new roads, ramps, maps, et cetera, et cetera. So Oh, we're in a weird place, kids. We're in a very strange place. Putin's cat says Josh Hawley, tried to save Snap, but the leader said he wouldn't do it until the government is open. Well, I don't think that's I don't think there's a problem with that. In fact, here's Josh Hawley making quite a bit of sense to well when he made his appearance on Fox, we need to cover that. Again, there's so many of these clips, guys. I could be doing this all day. I mean, there's hundreds of them. These are the ones I was able to process and elevate the audio on.
Congress is shut down effectively. Congress didn't pass a budget because the Democrats wouldn't do it. So I would just say again, it is time to end this. It's been 29 days too long, Sean. And here's the other thing I'd say. If the Democrats aren't willing to negotiate and we can't get anywhere on this, we're going to have to think about changing the rules of the Senate. Because at the end of the day, we cannot allow the government to remain permanently closed, the military not paid, needy families go hungry, all because we got to get 60 votes and the Democrats won't give them to us. Congress.
And I agree with him. You know, Senate rules can be changed. I am not in favor of that. I like the idea that even in government, sometimes you need more than the minimum, more than a majority. I think that's not bad. I think we would manage change so much better if that were like what the table was being set with. It's why the Electoral College is in place, because you have you have people in disadvantaged areas because they're not in a city, but who contribute greatly to not only the economy but to the health of the population. I'm referring to rural areas where there's farming and similar things like oil. You can't have the cities ruling the roost, which again, that's why we have an Electoral College. But when you look at you look at a lot of these politics, a simple majority is a nightmare for people who will never ever get representation again. I have no interest in feeding anyone outside of my family, Putin's cat. None. Because it's just a bunch of freeloaders at that point. Experiences, I get the statements for the cost of dialysis. Yeah, I know, brother. I'm so sorry. Just for me to be on a dialysis machine for 3 hours, or excuse me, 3 days a week for 4 hours a day, costs about $150,000 for 3 weeks, 9 treatments. Dude, that's insanity. But why are those costs so high? It's the same reason that drug costs are so high. Because they can get away with it, at least here in the United States. I can't talk politics with my sister. She makes AOC seem moderate. Yeah, I have family members like that. And again, it's fine. I just don't talk politics with them anymore. Last time I did with one of my family members, I got called some very filthy names. And I don't tolerate that from anybody. My buddy, Eric K., the moderator of mods, the mensch of wrenches, been here for 53 months, says, feed me culture. I'm hungry. You bet, brother. You bet. Plus, I'm going to let you cook too, because you make some mighty food, my friend. Yeah. Let's see. What else we got? We got so much more. It's insane. It's insanity, folks. And we have more stories to cover than this. That's the crazy thing. We have more stories to cover than this. Look, this might be the last one on this subject because I think you guys probably all are getting the point. Nobody's going to compromise. especially not the Republicans. They're making headway with this. They're making headway with this. You are not going to change people's minds, and I can't do anything about that. I can just suggest maybe prepare yourself for a poor situation. Andy Masterson, feed Miss Simo. All right. Senator Thune, Leader Thune, the majority leader in the Senate, the guy that kind of calls the shots in there. In fact, the guy that calls the shots, which is why it took so long to get so many appointments done, because this guy has rhino tendencies. Sorry, it's just the truth. He went absolutely bonkers, which he doesn't do. He doesn't have a reputation for somebody that's hyperbolic and goes over the top. So this is what he did, I think, yesterday.
And we've tried to do that 13 times. You voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out 29 days in that, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in. And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times, people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. My aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences. Well, you know what? What Democrats are doing here. They're making plans to keep the shutdown going.
That's terrifying. If that's the reality of this, that's terrifying. I'm going to reset. I'll be right back. If there are plans to make this go longer, if there are plans to make this run into the election in 5-6 days, right? That's the next stop. We thought they'd stop after No Kings. They didn't. They are uncomfortable dealing with reality. They are a spoiled toddler in the middle of a grocery store throwing a tantrum. That's the Democrats right now, or my opinion of Democrats right now. And that's not good for anyone. But we actually did get some good news that I kind of want to visit upon. And this is, from Fox, unfortunately, but it's fine. At least it's Jesse Waters. So a lot less, what do you call it? Hyperbole. But let's take a look at this alert and see what you guys think. I think it's good news. The Supreme Court made a decision. Actually, they've made a ton of them recently. Almost every single one of them, I think, have gone President Trump's way.
Now we have a Fox News alert. The Supreme Court just cleared the way for Trump to deport illegals even faster. The High Court ruled that Trump can use the Alien Enemies Act to send Venezuelan gangbangers to a mega prison in El Salvador. This is a huge ruling in Trump's favor and a major win for the country. After, as you know, D.C. Judge James Boasberg ordered a stop to the deportations.
Which he doesn't have authority, which the Supreme Court basically told him to pound sand. Thank goodness somebody finally did. These activist judges are getting inconvenient messages. They do not have the power of the president.
So this is pretty significant. These deportations, Caroline, can keep going.
This is a massive legal victory, Jesse, a massive victory for law and order and for our constitutional republic and the sovereignty of the United States of America. We called on the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges like Judge Boasberg, who was completely out of line in trying to say that the president didn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists off of our soil. We have always maintained the position at the White House that the president was well within his constitutional authority to do so. And this decision proves that President Trump and our administration have always been right from the beginning. He will continue to utilize the Alien Enemies Act to remove foreign terrorists and Tren de Aragua members, vicious gang members from American communities. And because of this ruling, the United States of America is a much safer place. Our team will get to work tomorrow to deport these heinous, violent foreign terrorists from our neighborhoods.
And you had another couple critical wins in the court with regard to DOJ. Tell us about those. That seems to be making progress.
Yes, absolutely. There have been many wins that the mainstream media has failed to cover, particularly over the weekend. The Supreme Court also ruled that the president does, in fact, have the authority over federal funding, that he can dictate what funds can go out the door and what can't, so long as they are part of the executive branch. So we have always, again, maintained that every executive order the president has signed, every executive action that he has taken has been well within his executive authority. And DOJ is doing a tremendous job at cutting back at the waste and the fraud and the abuse that have been ripping off American taxpayers, that have not been aligned with our interests here in our country. So we're going to continue the president's agenda. Again, he's well within his constitutional authority, and it's great to see the Supreme Court reining in these activist judges who are wearing robes but are acting as judicial activists, not as real judges and real arbiters of the law.
All right. Lawyers wrong.
Jesse goes on talking about lawyers being wrong. I think it's weird. This is where we're at, is that we have to adjudicate everything now because there's activists out there trying to stop everything. It's not a way to run a government or a country, as a matter of fact. We got some more supers here, including this one from Pinochet for another $1. Thank you for the Rumble rant, saying that same Judge Boasberg was just caught as the judge who issued warrants for Biden's DOJ to spy on over 400 conservative politicians and organizations. We, of course, are going to get there. So thank you, Pinochet. Yeah, he's a terrible judge. He's an activist. He's a person that would tear away as many of your rights as you possibly could. Yeah, we have enough problem with American gangs. We don't need extras. Yeah, we don't need to, bring in bad guys, which is what the previous administration was doing. Hail, Emily. I hope you're doing well. And it's good to see that Godzillionaire out there. All right. Hey, Richard, what's up? Excellent. Get illegals out of here. Yep. It's what a lot of us voted for. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of, can you help me cross the street, nice lady? Well, you want to talk about that particular thought process? You probably don't remember Biden's incompetence, which everybody on his former government team is having to lie about. It's embarrassing. And if you're KJP, you were very close to perjuring yourself, maybe even already did a few times. And we're definitely gonna take a look at this, because I don't pull back from any of the government stuff. So let's take a look at this. This is KJP in a GOP oversight committee. Want to take a look? This is part of a deposition, I believe. Let's take a look at it. Here we go. Hi, liar lady. What do you have to say?
Examples when you were
press secretary. So this is on May 23rd, 2022. So just for the record, that was after you became press secretary. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
So speaking alongside Japanese Prime Minister Kishida in Tokyo, President Biden was asked, quote, "Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?" And President Biden responded, "Yes." The reporter responded, surprised, "You are?" And President Biden stated, "That's the commitment we made." Do you recall that interaction?
Yeah, I recall.
Were you surprised by President Biden's statement in that moment?
In that moment, I can't speak to what I was thinking in that moment.
Did that statement appear to be at odds with what you understood to be President Biden or America's policy toward Taiwan?
From where our policy was, yes.
I'm sorry, could you be more specific?
Well, I was answering your question. Where our policy was it at odds? Yes.
Were you consulted in, or were you involved in the handling of the aftermath of that?
Yes.
Did you advise President Biden on how to handle that issue going forward?
I think we all talked through with him about the statement. I want to be really clear. I can't specifically remember the conversation, but I was certainly part of the conversation. Yes.
Sure. Did President Biden explain how the mix-up, if it was a mix-up, how it happened, why it happened?
Honestly, I can't recall the specifics of the conversation on how he explained it.
Do you believe President Biden knew what he was saying when he said it? Or did he misspeak?
Look, I think that we had a conversation about it. I cannot recall specifically how it went back and forth. And so it's hard for me to characterize that today.
I think in your opening statement, you said something along the lines of, you never had a moment where you doubted President Biden's judgment. And this instance of seemingly forgetting about strategic ambiguity with regard to Taiwan, that wouldn't stand out to you as an instance where his judgment was at question?
The president was in the job for 4 years, and I think his record shows that he made critical, important decision that mattered to the American people, whether domestically or foreign. We're talking about 2 moments, I think, you just laid out to me. And he had 37 press conferences during his time, and that does not take away.
Does anybody remember 37 press
believing
conferences?
That this was a president that was indeed competent to lead and to move this country forward.
Sure. I understand that. You've been very clear, I think, on that. But and I don't mean to split hairs. You just said that there was never a moment where you doubted his judgment.
That continues to be true.
So in that moment where he appeared to forget or reject strategic ambiguity, you had no concerns about his judgment.
I wouldn't use that moment as an only time or a moment that would make me question anything about his competency. That does not change my statement.
Okay. Well, a third example, on June 20th, 2023, again, that being while you were White House press secretary, is that correct?
Yeah.
President Biden attended a fundraiser with Governor Gavin Newsom in California. During the fundraiser, President Biden called Chinese President Xi Jinping a dictator. I guess similar questions. Do you recall that instance?
Yes.
Were you surprised when President Biden said that?
I don't remember my initial reaction, but I do recall.
So I guess similarly then, did that statement appear to be at odds with the White House's general stance on China or President Xi Jinping?
Yes.
Everybody knew the policy.
Do you believe that President Biden meant to say that when he said it?
What I will continue to believe is that this president was more than competent to lead and move this country forward. I can't get into characterizing or
Non-answer.
explaining for the
Non-answer.
president in that moment what he was thinking.
Not answer. Look, this is a person in full CYA mode. I don't blame her because, as Davina said, she's in it up to her eyebrows, and so are many of the other people in the staff. But I will say this, a big shout out and thank you to Chris, who dropped 5 Culture Casino memberships. Thank you, Chris. So look at all these people. Mr. Fizzy even got a gifted membership. Amazing stuff. I don't have a problem with presidential pardons. I have a problem with the president not signing them. And I don't think anybody should have the power of pushing the button without some kind of paper trail, which I think you agreed to based on your previous comment. But this is complete garbage. Can she remember her own name at this point? I don't know, but she was incredibly evasive. Yeah, and the public record cannot be erased this time. It's true. Yeah, I really don't like the dust mop look that she has right here, but that's just me. She's not unattractive. You guys are right about that. And she had a winning smile, but she was weighted down, as people have commented here, by her actions each and every day. You can't do that to yourself. Every time you do a lie like that, you're tearing away a part of your soul. And I firmly believe that. You don't have to believe that, but I do. I think it's bad. And look, I mean, even Jake Tapper, one of the guys most owned by, the narrative, said the guy was out to lunch. And I think there can be some assumptions about a president's ability to do their job. We've had too many examples in history of people staying well beyond when they should have. 4 terms was overstaying your welcome, and kept us in the Depression for far longer, especially the works programs that were created that period of time. And I'm sick and tired of it. She has no more soul. I won't go that far. I don't know, but I don't know her at all. It's just crazy. All I see is Jamie Foxx in Living Color. You know what? That is a great skit. What was the name of the character he was playing that was the woman with the buck teeth? It was pretty phenomenal. Yeah, 25th Amendment. Yeah, I mean, sure. Impeachment doesn't do much these days, and a crazy leader can do crazy things. I agree with you. So are you saying that Biden's crazy then, Putin's cat? Reprobate. I love that word. You guys, I love the college word use that shows up in my chat. You guys are genius. I love it. Mark Daly, what's up, buddy? Comes in here with a swing and a direct 4-run home run. That's right. A grand salami here. That's not a hairdo. That's a hair don't. Wanda. That's right. Jamie Foxx is a doofus. Well, he's also as that character in Delulu. So there's that. Speaking of Delu, I haven't seen Delu today. Read by Nature, I see. Don't know the character name, but the Dracula sketch that he did with Carrie was great. Dude, I love that show. I watched that religiously. It's why it like we lived in a time when nobody would ever call out like we had eliminated racism, and Barry brought it back. Barry Swinto, who I think should have to be referred to by that name. Anyway, we got to take a look at what James Comer said, because he just underlines the pardon issue very well with the mental state of the former president. Here we go.
Was the president even mentally fit to make those decisions? And that's why we brought Dr. O'Connor in. And Dr. O'Connor, when the first question we asked, were you ever told to lie about Joe Biden's health.
The White House physician, yes.
The White House physician, and he pled the Fifth Amendment.
So
he wouldn't answer that.
You referred to him and then two other aides, Anthony Bernal and Annie Tomasini, all of whom pleaded the Fifth, to the Justice Department. What are you expecting them to look into?
We believe there was a cover-up of Joe Biden's mental fitness. The fact that Joe Biden met with Ian Sams, his White House spokesperson, 2 times in 2 years. The fact that he met with Neera Tanden, who was his executive secretary, once every month or whatever. I mean, it's shocking. Every other president, President Obama, President Bush, President Trump, they meet with these staffers multiple times per week. And Joe Biden was clearly shielded. And I think you wrote very well and very accurately in your book that he was shielded from people. He was shielded from Pete Buttigieg. He was shielded from his inner staff. So the question that I think the Department of Justice needs to ask these people that pled the Fifth, was there an organized cover-up? Why did you not give the president a cognitive test when even mainstream media outlets were demanding that Joe Biden take a cognitive test?
Wow. Yeah, he was shielded from booty time. That's crazy. You know what? Speaker Johnson actually talks about the fact that he had a conversation in the office with Biden where Biden was out to lunch. Just out to lunch, not knowing part of the conversation or what they were talking about or referring to, not understanding the situation. So pretty wild indeed. It honestly, it's just crazy. But Comer here did what he did. And then one of my favorite voices that's likely, if you watched the video today or yesterday, Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is likely to move from CNN to CBS News, I would guess. I believe that would or could happen. So I'm getting a spam call right now. So let's take a look at what Jennings did on Laura Coates' live show, which is awful television. She is an awful host, and she's too full of herself. She's a combination of Whoopi Goldberg and who's a terrible host like that? I don't know, Don Lemon maybe. Anyway, let's take a look at this because I think you guys will enjoy it. Again, there's 1,000 clips I could grab every single day. I'm never going to lack for material on this show, and I will always bring it to you in a timely manner. This is why this show is going to go 5 days a week pretty soon. So here we go. Laura Coates. Man, I hope Scott gets out of there. I really do.
It's not about the pen. The auto pen has been used. Presidents, as you pointed out, used it. There's precedent for that. That's fine. The question is, did the president himself authorize or make the decision that led to the use of the auto pen? And what the committee found was that there were numerous instances where there was no real direct chain of evidence going from presidential decision-making to the use of the auto pen. And in the last 3 months of the Biden administration, I mean, he was, I think we all acknowledge, and the reporting is very clear, in severe cognitive decline. And so the committee the committee, you don't agree he was in cognitive decline?
I do not, because there's no medical evidence to say that. Now, that's a political talking point for some of you on the right, but there's no evidence to point to that. Dr. Scott.
Do you know?
Dr. Scott, do you have evidence?
Do you know why the president's physician took the Fifth Amendment before the committee?
No, the same reason why Republicans have taken the Fifth Amendment under oath.
Listen, if you're here to argue the sharpness of Joe Biden, I commend you on your effort.
I'm not here to argue that. I'm just saying there's no medical
okay, this guy is a disingenuous person there just to argue. Sometimes that happens in the chat where people are just going to argue everything because they're on the other side of the equation.
There was some cognitive decline.
Do you have eyes and ears? I think you do.
I do.
So the committee found that in many instances, they could not trace presidential decision-making to the use of the auto pen. It's unprecedented. We've never had this situation before. So it's not the use of the device. It's a question of presidential power. The Constitution says only the president can pardon, as you pointed out. But he has to make the decision. An unelected staffer cannot say, well, we think he's okay with us pardoning this group of people, and let's do it. That would be extra constitutional, and now the DOJ has to decide what to do with it. I'm not sure what you do. I guess you go ask a judge if these decisions
this
are
is the
traceable.
interesting
But
part.
the question is, where does the power lie? It doesn't lie with the staff. It only lies with the president. The same would be true for executive orders. If executive orders were drafted and signed in his name, you know, I think it's a legit question. Now, I don't know how a judge would deal with this if the DOJ showed up in court. It is an unprecedented situation.
Scott, I would just say,
it's not a question about the signing. It's a question about knowledge of decision making. And I think Trump has knowledge. Look, I've been around the president quite a bit this year. I can tell you, the nerve center of this White House is in the Oval Office at the Resolute desk.
How much time did you spend with Joe Biden? I'm just curious.
How much time did his senior staff spend with him?
How much time did you spend with Joe Biden?
Zero. About the same amount as his staff,
well,
his senior staff.
I haven't spent time with Donald Trump, but I have spent time with Joe Biden. Here's what I do know. That Joe Biden, as testified under oath, every single person from Biden world declared that he was into it in the same way that Kevin...
He was into it. What does that even mean? Look, the disingenuousness is the thing that disgusts me, but that's an entirely other conversation. Look, Mark Daly shows up with another generous super chat for 5 Culture Casino cash and says, calling my shot. KGP is going to be the one who gets a walk in exchange for her testimony against the other bad actors in the Biden administration. You know what? You might be right. She might be the person to approach for a flip. You know what? I could see that. Somebody's going to flip. Somebody doesn't want to go to jail. Somebody doesn't want to go to emergency. Sorry, it's an Eagles song. Apologize for that. Somebody's going to emergency. Somebody's going to jail. We didn't have to get a doctor. We need a doctor to sign off on him being mentally incompetent. I think that's true. Yeah, we all know Biden was out to lunch. I think that's true. Okay, so if he's in a beach chair asleep, if he nods his head, look, Putin's cat, I understand, but I'm just going to tell you, I think as James Comer described, as things come out, there's going to be a lot more of this, and I think again you're going to see somebody fold and tell the truth. That'd be amazing. More conspiratorial than the Nixon tapes. Well, I think the Watergate situation in the Biden administration was spying on conservatives, because that's actually genuinely what happened. Hang on just a moment. I'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere. I just think it's great that we're going to be deporting people faster. That was where we kind of started the show off in a wonderful way. And I think that it's a good idea to have conversations like this, especially in front of an audience, despite the risks involved. And unfortunately, you know, we lost Charlie Kirk that way. And there's a lot of disrespect from people on the left when it comes to that. They literally can't stop or help themselves. And I think that's disgusting. But I have to share with you the disgusting people. Okay? That's part of the job here. Sorry. Being straightforward with what we're up against. The reality of the poisoned American population that went through an education system that was deeply compromised by ideology. Because this is what the results are when you pay no attention to what's going on, which, believe it or not, so many parents are guilty of. Let's take a look at this. Do you see her costume? She's wearing a Freedom t-shirt and blood at her collar and shoulder. She says, I love gay Halloween because what do you mean You're Charlie Kirk. Here we go. Uh-oh. Music. Crap. All right, try it again. Yeah. She went to the gym like that. I think this is the only time she's been in a gym. Pretty disgusting, right? I want to thank Colin Rugg for sharing this. These people are just gross. They're absolutely gross. And it's what we're up against. If you want to get behind this and stand on a free speech soapbox, go ahead. But if you're wondering why there's no civility, wondering why people talk about, the concept of civil war and crap, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. Anyway, what do you guys have to say? Evil. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, keep it real. I started blocking people. Look, I tell X I'm not interested in all these crazy leftists all the time, and they still clutter up my timeline. So I'm kind of frustrated with X right now. But Neff Champion, I really wish she would not film herself doing that. Indeed. Putin's cat goes wham. Oh boy, the most ridiculous part of that vid was her in the gym. That's what I said. There you go. Australian says MAGA. Indeed. At first I thought she was referencing the Thomas Jefferson Tree of Liberty quote. Yeah, I not really. So I think the story around Obama being in big trouble, I think that's going to be something we talk about, especially since the depths of the Biden administration and where they stooped to with the Operation Arctic Frost. I think that's going to be a thing. Senator Cruz is talking about it here in this clip, but he's saying it's Joe Biden's Watergate. The DOJ issued 197 subpoenas for 430 Republican entities and individuals. This was a political enemies list from beginning and an outrageous abuse of power, and I have to agree 100%. Let's take a look at the clip.
Arctic Frost is Joe Biden's Watergate.
True story.
Merrick Garland was a fundamentally corrupt attorney general. Jack Smith was a fundamentally corrupt prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
This was a political enemies list from the beginning. 197 subpoenas for 430 Republican entities and individuals. That is an absolute and egregious abuse of power. Arctic Frost is Joe Biden's Watergate.
And it's hard to disagree with Senator Cruz and everything else that's coming after. This is going to be a disaster of the highest caliber. I think that this particular issue and the Obama situation with 20 CIA and FBI insiders, whistleblowers coming forward about his bologna sausage, I think that's going to be a problem as well. Barry's work with Hillary trying to undermine a full presidency is hot garbage. And the fact that an entire political party went along with it and then afterwards decided to go false accusations and trials and everything else, I think that's pretty disgusting. But there's something else that I'm finding disgusting. And Putin's cat, I don't think you should worry about the powers that be. I'm loving everything that you're doing. So it's fine. And Popsicle says it right. I mean, this is what happens when you have no moral center. That's spot on. Hey, Cuddly Cat Wings. Good to see you. You know, I like the band Arctic Frost. I'm sorry, Tom. Thanks for being here, buddy. It's pretty wild. Yeah, the administration turned the alphabet agencies into enforcers of the new police state. I'm not a fan of that, guys. I'm just not. You had a gnome music video in the works? That'd have been fun. I might have played that here if the music was, it was copyright free. But let's talk a little bit about the fact that it's telling in the age of Snap what's actually been going on. When you start to look at some of the facts, which is what we're going to do. Roland the Wretched gets into this one, which I love. But let's take a look at the thing that's driving me crazy right now. And it's the fact that I think you're going to see a fatigue assigned to this. People are going to have Snap fatigue once they find out the facts. So let's take a look at this. This is an Iranian This is an Iranian refugee. It says he won't be able to stay in America if his SNAP benefits get cut. I thought illegals weren't supposed to have access to those kinds of social safety net programs. Yeah, we know better. This is Bakar Rajab. Here we go. Well, let's turn this up.
The government support, I cannot stay maybe a month or 2 months.
Pima County Chairman Rekt Scott told News for Tucson he's deeply concerned about the impact on local refugees and said,
without the...
I don't believe this is a refugee. I don't believe anybody's a refugee. There are very few countries in the world that you escape from and you go to America. You go to the next closest country that doesn't have the same kind of problems. I'm sorry, don't believe it. And according to Roland, go back to Iran. The government has no obligation to support you. That is not how it is supposed to function. And a good portion of the population has forgotten that. Not me. The Star Wars girl says, if you're not American, you shouldn't receive American benefits, period. I agree with that. The best barrier for stopping illegal immigrants is to stop all benefits to illegal immigrants. We owe them nothing. And that's the clearest message I think anybody should take away. I just do. My tax dollars are for Americans. And look, I am opposed to foreign wars. You guys probably didn't know that, but I'm sick and tired of fighting for other people's best interest and not America's. We've did that for 50 years. It never worked out for us. We put terrible programs in this country, including the Department of Education. Education went downhill. We dropped worldwide 40 or 50 spots or more over the course of the stupid experiment started by Jimmy Carter, Peanut Boy, and his, drunk, stupid brother. I'm sick and tired of this garbage because it's killing us. We have no obligation to do anything for anybody. They wouldn't do anything for us, and that's the other problem with letting, certain people into positions of power. because they go from being a politician to an activist. And that's the same thing with judges. We should be pulling judges out left and right. But American Papa Bear had another commentary I thought was really brilliant because it's tied to a video that I want you to see. A lady talking about her $3,000 in benefits. I told you that was going to come back around. Here we go. I get $3,000 a month in food stamps, SNAP EBT. There's 8 of us, and I have no income. Does that make you mad that the government helps feed my children? Yeah. Does that make you want to punch me in the face? No, because we don't react like that on this side of the fence. Does that make you shiver in your boots? I'm not shivering. Be mad, stay mad, is what she says. What is your message? You're about to figure out what it's like to earn money to feed your kids. So here she is. This is going to create a fatigue, guys.
So I get $3,000 in food stamps. Obviously it's 8 of us, so you do the math. That's why I get $3,000. I have no income, so obviously I'm gonna get the full benefit amount. Does that make you mad too?
I have to ask you a question. How does she drive, insure, and put fuel in this car and maintain it? How? Somebody help me out here. I don't think I'm mad for asking that question. I don't think I'm insane. I just want to know. How does somebody who has no job take care of all that? I bet you she got a cell phone. What do you think she's filming on right now? She got a $1,400 cell phone. Or maybe it's cheaper. I don't know. But I'm just saying people go get the latest iPhone. They pay for the phone bill and they film themselves and make TikToks and other baloney sausage. And they post their garbage. Anyway, we'll keep going.
Does it make you mad that the government is helping me feed my children? Does that make you want to punch me in my face? Does that make you angry? Does that make you shiver?
We're not Democrats. We're not Democrats, and we ain't afraid of stuff.
Yeah. Be mad. Stay mad.
Well, you ain't getting any.
I'm gonna feed my kids. I don't have a job, even though I'm going to an interview today.
Good.
Like I said, I took your advice. So it is what it is.
Yeah, she didn't care. She loves stealing your tax money. Tired of that. Putin's cat. I want $3K a month. Me too. If you play by the rules, you can't get $3K a month. If you work, you ain't going to get $3K a month. If you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. I don't think she's typical. You haven't watched enough of this, my friend. You haven't, unfortunately. And I'm not calling you out for that. I get it. But yeah, I have benefits. Benefits for what? You don't benefit society, you ain't working. And Darth Racer and everybody else that's commenting on the war stuff. Yeah, the CIA has been fouling stuff up for a long time. I mean, that's why we got some of the dictators we got. I think even, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we even got Noriega because of the CIA. We installed the dictator Saddam Hussein. Or I should say the CIA did. Generic Brunette says something like this. I'm not sure that's accurate. Many of these TikTokers are just doing it for clickbait and clout. Yeah, it's true. I saw a video of a SNAP worker who said that isn't accurate. Okay, fair enough. It's not just the SNAP benefits, but I've seen these people in the shopping, in line with a few shopping carts that they were going through SNAP. I got to tell you, the SNAP list got to get smaller. Got to get rid of all the bad food, which is making all these people obese. All the soda pop, everything else. Why are we paying for that premium beverage? I mean, you know, and for the people that are working that are on benefits, you think they're still buying their cigarettes and beer and other things? Man, I'm tired of this, kids. I really am. And I like people. I love people. I've been telling you that for a long time. I love all of you guys, even when you don't agree with me. I love Putin's cat. He doesn't have to agree with me every time. Chronos Godwisen asked the question I love to ask on my other channel on Campione Reacts. Why aren't the 5 dads paying for that? The baby daddies paying for that? You know, how many daddies do those 5 kids have? Yeah, there's 5 different daddies, 5 different kids. Anyway. Yeah, they installed the Shah of Iran. There's so many things out there that were done. And again, the CIA drug money is the thing that they don't want to, have stopped. Okay, guys, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I need to clear out the memory hole before I start streaming. I do. So I've never been a fan of Bill Gates talking about corruption walking with too much money, the ability to do about anything, even if it's illegal as heck. Okay. But Bill Gates is the major problem on the planet Earth. One of them, anyway. This guy is worse than any climate emergency that they talk about. In fact, he's so corrupt that after trying to sell the climate change issue for as long as he did, because he needs power for his partner OpenAI, he's actually like going back on what he said. Don't believe me? Here's the video.
This is COP28, very, very important meeting. The issue of health and climate will be discussed at length. That's never gotten the attention it deserves. The issue of food systems and how with climate change, a lot of farmers aren't able to grow their crops, which is a tragedy for them. We'll talk about using innovation to absolutely solve that problem.
Land.
This is COP28. Very, very.
He went on to say that this isn't as much a deal as it's been made out to be, and there's no long-term damage or any of that stuff. He went on to say that we can't destroy nations because of green goals and things like that. He's not a good guy. He's a digital ID guy. He wants to exclude you from society if you don't want to be tracked and monitored and controlled by the government. This guy's a mega douche. Donald Trump reacted saying, "We just won the war on climate change hoax. Bill Gates has finally admitted that he was completely wrong on the issue. It took courage to do so. And for that, we are all grateful." MAGA. So there's that. Yeah. Yeah, this guy has been the source of like so many bad ideas. It's ridiculous. And people once looked up to this guy, but why? He didn't create Windows. He kind of redeveloped other people's ideas. That's all this guy's ever done. genetically engineering mosquitoes. This guy's a bad guy. He owns virus patents. Not a good man. And no amount of arguing with me will change it. I'm just going to say. Things are weird. We're in a weird time, guys. But at least the Senate went forward and decided that we were going to have oil again. And they decided that we were going to go to the National Petroleum Reserve and we were going to start getting oil out of Alaska. So they are going to be undoing Biden's decision, and it passed 52 to 45. So 13.3 million acres will be opened up to pulling oil out. It's a huge oil reserve, and we need it. We need it. We are a country that relies on energy, and AI is robbing us of our energy, believe it or not. So it's very frustrating, but I'm very excited that the Senate passed that. And I just want to show you some polling because of the climate, well, what people call a hoax, but I call just the green energy scam. I want to show you something that I think is very interesting. And I believe Mark Nixon is from Canada. I think he's a Canadian because he's very heavy on the Canadian politics side of things. And this is going to be our last story, folks. So if you have any questions, super chats, comments, get them in now. So for those of you in the chats, climate scam equals collapsing. Only 2% of Americans say it's their top issue. 2. And by the way, this is CNN's only other credible person right now. They're a numbers guy. I'm a numbers guy, so I appreciate numbers guys. But the U.S. is the second largest CO2 emitter on Earth. Doesn't care. No, we don't, because we know it's baloney sausage. Meanwhile, Canada is destroying itself to impress the UN. We're burning our own economy for nothing. You're destroying it. And that, like I said, that's why I think he's Canadian. But he's not wrong. So here it is, guys. Some facts and figures, which are inconvenient truths for people like Al Gore, Bill Gates, Greta Thunberg, and, well, the WEF, because now they can't even rely on the green scam to help them seize power like they're trying to do now.
About climate change now for decades upon decades upon decades. And the worry in terms of climate change, simply put, hasn't shifted. It has not reached the majority of Americans. What are we talking about? Greatly worried about climate change. You go all the way back to 1989, it was 35%. 2000, 40%. 2020, 46%. And in 2025, look at that. It's 40%, the same number as we had 25 years ago back in 2000, and then only just 5 points higher than we had back in 1989. Really, we've just seen consistency on this issue. The bottom line is that the climate change message that folks who, of course, believe that climate change is real and is quite worrisome, simply put, has not really worked with the American people.
So greatly worried. You say greatly worried. I mean, so people say they're greatly worried, 40%, but how worried? Really? Is it the biggest thing they're worried about?
Yeah, it is not anywhere close to being the biggest thing that people are worried about. What are we talking about here? Well, why don't we just talk about top issue facing the U.S., climate change. Well, I got some numbers for you on the screen right here. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that these numbers are not particularly high. Top issue facing the United States, climate change. It was 3% in 2021, 2% on average of polls in 2023, and this year the average of polls, 2. It is very, very low on the list of priorities. I was trying to count it out in the Gallup poll, and basically it was so low down, you know, I was counting all the different issues, I almost lost track. It was like 15th or 20th. It was just very, very low down. So the bottom line is not only are we seeing that the number has not really moved over the last 36 years, but in terms of being the top issue, it simply put has not broken through. 2%, there are just a ton of things that rank way higher on the list of importance.
Even I can count to 2. In terms of how people feel it will impact them directly, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'll just note 2 things. Number 1, your Harvard education paying off. But number 2 right here, look at this. Climate change effect on my home area will be harder to stay here. Look, in 2023, it was 23%. Look at where we are now.
Yeah, people got
17%.
wise.
Now, these numbers are pretty comparable, but they're pretty comparable on the low side is what we're talking about here, is Americans simply put just don't think it will have the type of impact that will really change their lives, which again goes back to the message that Bill Gates was saying, right? This is not something that's going to be devastating for humanity. It's something.
There you go. It will not be devastating for humanity, says Bill Gates. And you know what? I believe him. Because guess what? My entire life, I've been sold a climate message. I was told we were going to be underwater. If I look at the coastline, if I look at pictures of, the 20s and 30s of Ellis Island, the waterline hits about the same place as they did in those ancient black and white photographs. If I think that rich people believe this bologna sausage, I know better because they still buy houses on the coast. You're lying. You're lying to everybody, and you're still flying off in your big jets and using your 11 frickin' air conditioners, Al Gore. And, if you want to pay extra money because you think you're contributing to pollution or some stuff, I don't care if you do that, but don't force everybody else to. And again, the reason your energy is raising and rising up is because the silly people decided that nuclear reactors were a bad plan. And look, you can have an oopsie on something like that, but those are usually cleaned up pretty well. Look at 3 Mile Island, not to mention what happened over in Japan not that long ago. We're not talking about it. Chernobyl is a completely different conversation. It's very old technology, and now we have the ability to drop the rods out of the danger zone if we have to. And again, if you know anything about nuclear energy, it's plentiful. And outside of, disposing of the waste, which I think we're just going to mail to space at some point, there we are. We need to stop the power companies from favoring AI companies, which is what's happening. And the reason that Gates is going back on his words about climate change is going to hurt his AI business, which he shouldn't have, because OpenAI was started as a .org and a not-for-profit company. The fact that it's being allowed is disgusting, frustrating, and really tells you where the judicial system is at, because it's not on the side of humans. Regardless, I was told a lot of things, including by Leonard Nimoy himself in a Nova episode, that we were headed into an ice age. Look around. And as I said the other day, if you want to grow plants in a greenhouse and you want to grow them fast and you want to have a lot of fruit setting, you get a CO2 generator and put it in your greenhouse. Poof, plants go bananas. Anyway, that was it for the day. Let's see what you guys have to say. I wanted to go on a little bit of a rant there. Bill Gates is building nuclear plants to power the data centers. This is so true. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to be honest. It's funny. People are insane, and I love it. I mean, honestly, because I have content forever. I'm going to do this show forever, apparently, because every day it's dumbness. Thorium salt fusion reactors are even cleaner. I know, but dude, you and I have been waiting for that for a long time, right? Unfortunately, the waste from thorium salt reactors is uranium-235 at weapons grade. That I don't know if that's quote unquote unfortunate, but hey, if we're going to start testing nukes again, which I think is bananas, we know what they do and how they work, so we don't need to test anything. If we want to show Russia that we still have those things, maybe, but it is what it is. Brian Parker says there is a new hotness for nuke plants that aren't large and are efficient. Oh, no, dude, I know, Brian. I love those ideas. Put them in communities and regional areas, right? And here's the thing: for new nuclear reactors, are not allowed to sell the power outside the state. Rule number one: we can definitely permit that and let you build it and do it fast, because you have to do it in under a year. Or maybe that's a little too tight. You have to do it you have to build this reactor in under 18 months and have it running. And you cannot sell power out of state, because oftentimes this is happening. Neighbor states to high consumers, they sell the power and it doesn't go to the community, and they charge extraordinary rates. Plus, these data centers are stealing your power and not paying basically what you do for your usage. They are going to rob the grid of valuable power. That's a big problem. And Davina says, suddenly climate change doesn't matter when there's money to be made. Indeed. And that's the story of Bill Gates. I mean, he's the guy that's, he benefited quite a bit from the shutdowns, if you don't recall. So I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Yeah, the thorium salt is very corrosive. It's all true. But like I said, we know what's working now. Fire chief comes in. It's called weather. Yes, it is. It's called weather. So, and according to Neff Champion, I believe we never left the Ice Age, as some people define an Ice Age as there's being permanent ice sheets. Well, we have a growing and shrinking ice location on the globe, and it grows and shrinks cyclically. Oh man, I need to stop talking. We have been here for the 2-hour time limit. I'm just going to say thank you for that, folks. And for those of you who are out there chatting away, I appreciate. And Mark Daly says, if added CO2 keeps the sun's heat from escaping the atmosphere, how does it get in the first place? Well, hard to say. Remember, you guys don't remember? You probably did. Remember the hole in the ozone layer? Well, we found out that was cyclical too, and it managed to close itself up. So we got to stop doing things based on dumb science. Untested, untestable science is quite garbage. The first Dragon Queen says, culture still ignorant to everything. Oh, well, sometimes I just don't catch chats, but it's good to see you guys, and I appreciate it. Missed your super chat. Uh-oh. I did? Let me double check. The first Dragon. Why is that not working? Dragon Queen. Ah, here we go. Here's the super chat. Thank you, dear. Amazing. Says, I disagree with culture. Why? I don't know. Hugs for all. Thank you. Thank you. I see it. You guys are amazing. Uh-oh. Dragon Queen let the monsters outside. Gotta wait for darkness to film. I can't wait to see it. You guys are the best. Hey, I do my best. I'm glad you're spending the day. I really am. Like I said, I've been enjoying your stuff. So thank you for continuing to create despite all the weirdness that's been going on there. So, all right. Let's double check for super chats and gifts and make sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. Pinochet's helicopter tours. Did I get this one? Probably not. Plymouth Rock is still at the same water level from when the Pilgrims landed and planted it in the 1600s. Yeah, I know. And Chris, once again, thank you for the 5 gifties. I appreciate it. Gifties and everything else. Tony Piacente, did I miss this one? I think these SNAP people are selling some of their food for cash. I've heard that they've actually been selling access to their food stamps to people. Then that supplements their income. I've heard that. Okay, I already got that. Let's see. Mark Daly, very generous today. We're talking about KJP, and I think you were right in that. So I think I caught everybody and everything. I will say thank you for your generosity. I will say it's great to see a lot of you out there. And Scott Summers, it's good to see you. Anywho, we got to get out of here, folks. So on that note, I'm going to say it quickly, and I'm going to leave you with the outro you all love. AOAO, get ready. Be sure to take care of yourself. Take care of others. And until next time, I hope to see you at the 6 Minute Daily tomorrow morning with me.
Culture Casino.
I like when you guys make things because I'll use it. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, 6-Minute Daily. And right after that, we go to Morning Magic Extra Magic Hours, which is going to be Groovy Halloween Party. So I will be the Invisible Man, or at least that's the plan. See you then, everybody. And if you are staying up late, Thursday Night Throwdown's coming up in, well, soon, like 3 hours. We'll see you there. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll play it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. I don't fucking take smoke, I'ma poke a hole through you, choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty.